Good morning. I'm Carlton Ray, Director of the DC Clean Rivers Project. I have the honor to welcome DC Mayor Muriel Bowser, Ward 4 Council Member Brandon Ton, DOE Director and DC Water Chair Tommy Wells, Environmental Neighborhood Commissions, and all of you to the kickoff event of the DC Water's first large-scale green infrastructure project here in Rock Creek. So there you go. Green infrastructure implementation is a critical part of the Clean Rivers Program $2.7 billion effort to reduce combined sewage overflow by 96% system-wide and bring multiple community benefits at the same time. The green technologies implemented in this area will help reduce pollution going into the combined sewer to help Rock Creek. This project was designed to maximize environmental and community benefits while minimizing costs, time, and construction disruption. This design was achieved by combining technical analysis, in-field observations, and extensive community input. We're excited and proud of this project that's now in progress due to the hard work and dedication to all of you. Thank you. This project is allowed to build valuable partnerships with the district agencies, DDOT, DOE, and others, and the public. We are very thankful for your support and commitment. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor of introducing CEO and General Manager of DC Water, George Hawkins.
Well, that's good water. It is totally appropriate that we are here today in Ward 4. As some of you have heard, I am departing and stepping down from DC Water at the end of the calendar year. But I mention that because I look back at the sheet that I used in my interview to be hired at DC Water 8.5 years ago. And at the number one point of the points I made to the committee that hired me, it was to modify our consent decree to manage combined sewer overflow in our fair city to add green infrastructure. At the time, our consent decree had $3.5 million in total investment in green of $2.6 billion. What we sought to do, and it only worked because of our partnership with the city, the District Department of Energy and the Environment, US EPA, the Department of Justice, and so many other agencies, is to modify that decree, something almost never done anywhere in the United States. We were going to build a tunnel, underground, unseen here, and instead we are building green infrastructure to capture that rainwater. And instead of it being a problem that you channel into a pipe and get rid of, we are holding it into the ground and acting as what water is, which is an asset that can support green in this neighborhood and so many neighborhoods like it. Greening our city, creating jobs that are accessible to the people who need jobs in our fair city. So as we generate revenue from you as ratepayers, all of this depends on our relationship between the enterprise and the people who fund us. That money is turning back around, improving the neighborhoods where the money's coming from, and hiring people from neighborhoods where the money's coming from. So a direct benefit back to you in what you've enabled us to do. It's also appropriate that we're in Ward 4 because that's where the mayor and I met. She may remember, I certainly do, at Riggs Park, where you and I spent many evenings handling a problem where the environment wasn't handled properly, but instead that we worked shoulder to shoulder, night after night, trying to solve an environmental problem. And it was a delight, and the mayor was excellent as a council member then, as she is as the mayor now. But it is so great to be in a neighborhood not trying to solve a problem of the past, but in fact build something that enables the neighborhood for the future. And with Councilmember Todd, I know how diligent you have been all the years you've been council member following the mayor, because we've worked so often with your office. You should know if you're his constituent, he looks after you well, he keeps after us well, and that's exactly as it should be. So let me get right to the program. We are today celebrating our first big installation. We're executing on the idea of green infrastructure finally. How about that? We are actually building it. I do want to say none of this would have happened without having the best governing board of a water utility in the country, in my humble opinion, Folks have given me credit, which I appreciate for what we've done, but I know that it started with a governance structure that's so well and works so well for the district and for DC Water. We have 3 of our board members here today. You'll hear from our board chair, Tommy Wells. I always see Tony Giancola as a member of the board, and Ellen Boardman, who is a member of our board. They're some of the best volunteers who work in this city for an enterprise of our size. So let me get to the mayor. It's really a delight to introduce her. She has been a supporter of these issues back when she was a council member. She's always sought to do for this city, which builds a path to the middle class, as you've been working on, that makes the city greener. And I have to say, Mayor Fenty, who originally hired me to work in the agency that Tommy Wells has taken to a whole new level of performance, originally said that he wanted to see the city grow, but become greener as it grows, and create opportunity as it grows. And I'm so glad we've been able to embody that here and to introduce a mayor that is doing all of those things for us. I'm delighted that Muriel Bowser was such a great council member and now is the mayor of Washington, D.C. Muriel Bowser.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody. I am very happy to be here to help celebrate with DC Water and Ward 4 what is an outstanding project. George talked to you about what it means. We know that we have an order from the federal government to clean up our rivers, and we're all for it. And it is important that we look for the best ways to do it. And that's why the adjustment to the consent decree was so important. Yes, we need tunnels in some places, and in some places we just need to find a better way to manage the water. And that is exactly what we're doing here today. This project really represents the start of our green infrastructure projects. And it will demonstrate to the community and everybody watching that we are very serious about finding ways to manage our water and our sewers in the District of Columbia without having to build another tunnel. What it also represents, I guess George and I were together maybe maybe going on 3 years ago now, where we were at another wonderful field, I think in Ward 3, talking about how the green infrastructure project would allow us to create green jobs as well. So we are now celebrating that very first project. I want to thank the residents of Ward 4 who are here, and I know Commissioner Snyder is here. Let's give them a big round of applause for all the work that they do. They challenge us on each and every project to work on our infrastructure, but also to do it in the most sustainable way. We're right around the corner from another great project happening on Kennedy Street, and I know Ward 4 was also the site of some of the first green alleys anywhere in the District of Columbia. We are also pleased to partner with DC Water on our Green Alleys projects. Let me thank Tommy Wells, who is the director of our Department of Energy and the Environment, and he now chairs the DC Water Board. Thank you, Tommy, for your great work. And of course, our council member, Brandon Todd, who is, I'm just glad he's my council member. That's all I have to say about that. It was excellent in so many ways. So we have our work ahead of us in demonstrating to the world that we will be leaders in sustainability. Tommy and I stood together as we affirmed the district's commitment to the Paris Climate Accord and participate quite vigorously in the C40's Mayors Conference. That is a collection of mayors from around the world who demonstrate that cities play an increasing role in how we will clean up our environment. Tommy and his team have focused on Climate Ready DC, and if the last couple of months have taught us nothing, is that cities like ours have to be prepared for every weather eventuality or possibility. And that's what the Climate Ready DC plan allows us to do. In the last 3 years, we have been proud to focus on solar. We have been proud to focus on wind, on ways to energize our own government buildings, driving down our cost and improving our fight against climate change. Now, supporting the green infrastructure is another step in making sure that we can have a sustainable city. I frequently tell people, because sometimes when we talk about the district's waterways, and these are very important waterways, the Anacostia and the Potomac, of course, but then there are others, like Rock Creek. And the residents of Ward 4 so value being in Rock Creek and supporting the creek and its health. So let me again acknowledge DC Water for the incredible projects that they have come up with under George's leadership and the leadership of the board. We have become around the nation and world known for innovating in this space, and we have to continue to do exactly that. The last thing I'll say is that and when we talk about pathways to the middle class, is real. We know that our city has really not had more prosperous days. In many ways, these are the most prosperous times in Washington, D.C. But we have to stay focused on making sure that each and every investment that we make, and literally DC Water will be spending billions and billions and billions of our dollars. And we have to stay focused on how those dollars can be better circulated in Washington, D.C. And there's really no better way to do that than to work with businesses, small and local businesses that support our city, and by hiring D.C. residents who are doing this work. We are with DC Water and with Pepco and with Washington Gas and with WMATA and with DC DPW starting an infrastructure academy. And the whole point of the infrastructure academy is to train DC residents for the infrastructure jobs that we are creating. When you add the work Pepco and Washington Gas are going to do to the billions of dollars that DC Water is doing, there's a lot of opportunity there for DC residents to have good paying jobs. The average infrastructure job pays $45,000. And a family with a couple of $45,000 earners can live a good quality of life right here in Washington, D.C. Last year, 2,500 of those jobs went unfilled. DC residents should have those jobs. So we all have to stay focused on how we can train our residents, work with our small and local business to hire our residents, and make sure that our big utilities like DC Water have programs in place to make sure DC residents are getting hired. So with that, let me congratulate you once again, George, and I'll turn it back to you.
We are so incredibly fortunate to have you as mayor. I always tell my compatriots in the water industry around the country, I wish you all could have a mayor like we do, because that is the speech someone in my role wants to hear from the mayor and the person who runs the city. It is exactly, in my view, right on. Going right to the next, because as I said, Councilmember Todd, and it's not just that he does oversight in constituent services when things aren't going as well as it should. We're an organization of people, and sometimes we make mistakes. So there's no issue to me that we get looked at to correct those mistakes when they happen. But Councilmember Todd is also always pushing us to look high and try more and do better. Not just what hasn't done well, but what could we do to really rise our game? So I think he's been a tremendous advocate for this ward and for this topic, so I'm delighted he's with us here today. Councilmember.
Well, good morning, everyone, and I am just thrilled that in Ward 4 that we can showcase DC Water's first large-scale green infrastructure project, and it is my pleasure to welcome you all to Ward 4 this morning. Thank you, Mayor Bowser, for your commitment to green infrastructure and for your commitment to creating jobs in that space. Thank you, George Hawkins, for your commitment to DC Water, Director Wells, to the DC Water Clean Rivers program, which is led by Carlton Ray, the Anchor construction team. Thank you to ANC Commissioner Natalie Snyder and the members of the Manor Park Citizens Association that are here today. And I would also like to acknowledge Tony Giancola, who is a resident of Ward 4 and a member of the DC Water Board and the chairman of the Ward 4 Advisory Committee on Transportation and the Environment. Let's give everyone a big round of applause. This morning, we take a huge step forward in protecting our precious environment, enhancing the quality of our water, and reducing the risk of flooding. This is just the beginning of a series of similar projects that will take place all across this great ward. The 77 green infrastructure facilities that will be completed in Ward 4 by 2019 will help to restore Rock Creek while benefiting the community through beautification and job creation. I'm very much looking forward to the completion of construction under the Kennedy Street Revitalization Program, especially on the 100 block of Kennedy Street, where DC Water has awarded over $1 million for the construction of green infrastructure in their partnership with Muriel Bowser's office and the District Department of Transportation. This project will manage stormwater to reduce combined sewer overflows into the district's waterways and improve traffic and safety conditions. This project will contribute to the revitalization of the historic Kennedy Street Northwest corridor from Georgia Avenue to North Capitol Street, and that's a really, really big deal for Ward 4 in the District of Columbia. Another upcoming DC Water project that I'm really excited about is the Kansas Avenue Green Infrastructure Parks Project. This project at the parks at Kansas Avenue and 2nd Street Northwest, as well as Kansas Avenue and 3rd Street Northwest, will not only manage stormwater, but will beautify these parks and create green, usable space for residents to use and enjoy. I look forward to working with DC Water, the District Department of Transportation, Mayor Bowser's office on ensuring the disruption is minimal and that these projects come to fruition on schedule. I thank you, DC Water, and everyone involved for making these projects a priority, and I hope that the work in Ward 4 can serve as a model for the entire city. Congratulations.
Councilmember Todd used a number that I hope you heard, which is that we're doing 77 installations of green infrastructure in Ward 4. That gives you a sense of the scale of what you are investing in. This is only because we are supported by our ratepayers that we're able to do any of this work. But as I stand under a tree, you realize when there's something green and it rains, a lot of that rainfall is going to be held in the tree. Ever stood under a tree when it rains? Doesn't seem to be raining on you. The stormwater never hits the ground. It will evaporate right in. You'll have a tree, it's air quality, it's heat island effect that reduces heat. So many benefits come if we can make sure that the water we otherwise take and get out of the system stays right here and allows us to grow all around us, adding so many benefits. 77 installations in Ward 4. It's really going to be incredible. Next one is another person I met as a ward councilman in Ward 6, now to the Director of Department of Energy and the Environment. He and I first worked on the bag bill that has done a remarkable job both raising funds for the Anacostia River, but also an incredible job, even more than we ever expected, cleaning the river itself. And is, to me, was one of the greenest council members along with our mayor, and is now a spectacular director of the District Department of Energy and Environment and DC Water's board chair. So everything you want at DC Water, here's the man.
Thank you, George. We have so enjoyed your leadership. One of the only leaders in the country that can make sewers sound fun, almost sexy. It is. We've had an extraordinary leadership of our whole public utility here, and I know on behalf of the board with Ellen and Tony that we cannot say enough about what you've done. Let's all give George a big round of applause. And then our mayor, who I don't know if she intended to do this, but I don't want to understate what she said earlier. She has become a world leader on global warming, mitigating global warming, on the environment, and she's done it at a critical time. I could not be more proud that when our mayor is on the world stage of saying what our values are and our commitments to preserving the planet, restoring the environment, it has been something that all the residents of D.C., we all must be proud of because she's stepped up when we needed her to step up. Thank you, Mayor Bowser. And Councilmember Todd, I know what it's like to be a council member to have these great projects. Ward 4 is a great ward, and you've got great neighborhoods. And the revitalization of Kennedy Street and the other projects going on, I know that you have done a terrific job engaging the community and shepherding this through. I will be very excited as we see these 77 projects get done, but thank you, council member, for your leadership. When people ask, well, why is this so exciting? What's this about? I said, well, essentially, George and his team are creating these big sponges to absorb water so they don't run into the waterways. And they're doing it with some of the smartest, brightest leadership of any utility in the country. Would all our DC Water folks raise your hands? You guys are terrific. You're the envy of the nation, and you've chosen to be with us. And so we greatly appreciate it. We're very proud of the work that you're doing. But we know that you cannot do it without partnerships. We know how important the partnerships are with Dan Buckley, with Anchor, and with partners like Casey Trees. The mayor's made a goal of achieving 40% cover of trees throughout the city. During this term, the mayor has upped the number of trees that we're planting. But Mark Boscano and Casey Trees, thank you for your partnership. And then we've also got the head of Rock Creek Park Conservancy. We've got Matt Fleischer here. Matt, where are you? Matt, thank you for your leadership. Matt has a special responsibility along with Rock Creek Park that it's the only place in the whole world you'll find the Hay Spring amphipod. And he's promised that in this era, in this new century, that the Hay Spring amphipod, I believe Hazy is going to start tweeting soon to talk about how the water's getting cleaner, fresher, and a better environment as we make these investments. So thank you for everyone for being a part of this great kickoff. And George, thank you for your leadership.
I thought it was totally appropriate that we're now going to introduce a lead for a certified business in Washington, D.C. But it represents something that Tommy just suggested, which is we will never succeed at our joint goal of building green infrastructure unless we are collaborating with so many different partners and so many different players. I hadn't seen my friend Mark or from Rock Creek Conservancy. I take Rock Creek Conservancy as an example. You'll see in some of the signs, we did a downspout disconnect program with your enterprise. 120 or so, isn't that right? Downspouts that would have been sending all that stormwater into the sewer to overflow instead have been disconnected to go into green infrastructure just like we're doing. That's something that's mainly done in private property at a home or a business through the Rock Creek Conservancy. Mark's planting trees. The best stormwater management program known to humankind is a tree. So we are doing this only by working together, and that's also been to the benefit of some of the best minds in the private sector who did this work as well. And so I'm really delighted to introduce Daniel Buckley. He is the Senior Vice President for Anchor Construction, as I said, a certified business right here in Washington, D.C., who's going to be doing this work for us to make our city a better place. Mr. Buckley, welcome.
What a brain trust. Anchor Construction is very honored and proud to be part of this project. We started looking at this project when DC Water put it out on the street and knew that we wanted to be part of it. Anchor Construction has got over 30 years experience dealing with the District of Columbia and with DC Water. We are a certified business enterprise, and we do hire local residents. And it's going to be my privilege to bring one of them up in just 1 second. The green infrastructure we are constructing will provide a legacy for future projects and a new standard for innovation for future generations. This project will create cleaner waterways within the district and bring a sense of pride knowing that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing for the environment. At this point in time, we have established a hiring program to bring in NGICP candidates that go through the Clean Rivers project. In addition to that, Anchor also has a 2-year apprenticeship program that we have in-house. So, enough of that, and let me bring in our Raymond Coates, who we hired from the NGICP program. And we want you to hear Raymond's story. Raymond, would you come up?
Right before Mr. Coates speaks, we're so delighted. I just want to explain to you a little bit about what NGICP is. I see our friends from the Water Environment Federation. What we wanted to do at DC Water, and Carlton was the one who brought this idea to us in the first place, is to have local hiring, but we could have created a program just for the district that would have been good for us. But we want Mr. Coates to have something that is a credential. We don't want him to leave the city, by the way, but if he did, to take that credential with him as an asset for his personal benefit anywhere he would go in the United States. So with the Water Environment Federation, raise your hands, so some of the trade association for our industry, we've worked with 16 other cities across the country to create a national certification program for green infrastructure, so you can get certified with a credential that then becomes an asset for you to take in this job or any other as you proceed through life, including any of the other cities or them coming here with a national certification. We're delighted that, Anchor, you're realizing the opportunity that presents by hiring from the program. We've had 2 cohorts go through already, a third on the way. I think we've had 80 students who graduated, and it's really quite the pleasure that we're executing on an idea that we've had and showing that it's real. And here's Mr. Coates, who's a graduate of the NCIP and now working for Anchor Construction. Raymond.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Hello, everyone. Good morning. How are you? I appreciate the privilege of standing before you today to talk about something that I find very incredible. I'm a native Washingtonian. I've been here all my life. I've known several different kinds of governments. I've known so many attempts to do the right thing for everybody in this city. But I have to say that the minute I read about the National Green Infrastructure Credentialing Program, I had to enroll for 2 reasons. One, I had learned how important it is for our environment and our health in my community. Secondly, the program was so laid out. The vision was there, from top to bottom. They're going to follow people from the beginning until they land. Can my government do that? That was my question. And what I found was not only could my government do it with the vision, but my government can execute. I really mean that. This was well executed. I want to give special thanks to all the people involved. The Water Authority, Bethany, and Ms. Bennell, great people that was there from the beginning. You can actually talk to these people while you're learning. They're pointing out things to you. I mean, the enthusiasm, the can-do, we will succeed, and we will succeed with you, was permeated throughout this whole program. I look forward to seeing this program grow. I want to give special thanks to CSW, Constituent Services Worldwide, Brian, Robert, and Romina, who recruited us, helped us get our resumes together, ensured that we was work ready by giving us jobs and contracts on little things around the city so we can get familiar with the idea of what green infrastructure looks like in practice. I want to give a special thanks to UDC, Harris, and Cameron, who taught a wonderful interactive class that got you to understand the fundamental ways that water moves. That taught me the most fascinating thing I've learned was that every drop of water that we have here now, we've always had. So I'm drinking the water of my forefathers. Really, ain't that something? That is really something. And teaching me this brought me closer to my value, what I bring to it, how I can participate. And I've been treated as a person of value throughout this process, including when I landed at Anchor not even 2 weeks ago. My first day on the job, I never worked construction. I didn't eat breakfast. I did not bring lunch. They taught me about how to work in this business. My team pulled me in when I was wobbling, and I was literally wobbling. They were right there. pick up less, take a break, work over there. They showed me how to pace myself. But finally, seeing the thing come alive. Watching that stone build up. Remembering the book. Remember what Harris used to tell us. This stone first, then that stone. You get to see these things and you really feel, and you really feel that you're a part of this process. I'm very excited about this. I can't wait till the younger people come down into the ditch because there's a future here. There's a true pathway. In 3 years, a 20-year-old can probably buy a home off this. That can happen. So again, I thank everybody involved. I really, really am proud of my city. You know, I want to say, I was talking about going forward to lead associate. So I was doing the research on it, and guess what I found? I live in a city that's the first platinum lead city in the world. So in the future, when they look at that, and they go down the list of all these projects, somebody gonna say, Raymond Coates was on that project. So I'm a part of the team that makes us the lead, that makes us platinum. What does that make me? Platinum. Thank you.
I know Mr. Coates is going to be successful with Anchor, but you could be a preacher if that doesn't work out. Good Lord Almighty. I got goosebumps. I'm like, I want to go dig somewhere myself. But it was actually the perfect statement. Now I'm going to turn it back over to Carlton, but I'm always mindful. One of the reasons that I wear the uniform is I'm reminded that no matter what I do, nothing happens unless there's someone out there that designs, constructs, builds, and maintains the actual work. So look around you, all the folks wearing these bright yellow coats, or the staff folks, my peeps here, all from DC Water, and so many of our other partners. I salute you. We all salute you. Well, all these words are going to be translated into actually making our city a better place to live, as we will see all around us, and that's working at the side of angels. It's God's work, and bless you all for that. And I'd like to turn it back over to Carlton. I really want to, Carlton Bethany, raise your hand, who's been so instrumental to all the work here. I don't know, Carlton, if you remember the first meeting we had on this 6 or 7 years ago. And what I asked Carlton was, I want you to treat green infrastructure with the same level of engineering skill and diligence if you were building gray. The same level of professionalism, the same, you put in all the design, maintenance, what does it take? And I can tell you, unlike any other place I've seen, because green is often an aspiration, but here it's become an operation, executing on the dream. And Carlton really has been at the center of that. We're so fortunate to have Carlton Ray as the head of our Clean Rivers project. Turn it back to you, Carlton.
Okie dokie. Again, thank you very much for all coming out today. Behind us, we have a permeable parking lane. We're going to all go over to that location. If you happen to be involved in any part of the program, we probably have a bucket for you with water in it. We'd like to get everybody together and get a big picture of us pouring water into the permeable parking lane. We'll see what happens. I'll leave you on suspense. After that, we have a tour. Bethany Bezak, who George mentioned, runs our green infrastructure program. And Caitlin Feehan and Seth Chard are all going to help lead a tour. From behind us, we have the permeable parking lane. Over here on the other side behind y'all, that we have basically a bioretention area that we'd like to walk over there and just talk to. If you're interested in learning more about bioretention, there's a couple examples of that at that location. And then about a block and a half north of us, there's a alley that we are constructing right now of a permeable alley. And again, if you're interested in taking the tour, Bethany and Caitlin and Seth will be leading that charge. So if we can, we'll just take a break here and just go over here to the permeable parking lane. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.